Welcome to the Real Connection podcast. I'm your host, Katie Baker, where we bring in real people to have real conversations to create real impact. And today I am joined by none other than Christopher Bean. How are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good. Good.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
happy to be here. Happy to be here.
I'm happy. Are you a little nervous?
No, I've done a couple of podcasts before.
Okay. Good.
Yeah,
Good.
we're good. We're good.
Well, I'm very excited that you're here. For those of you who are listening, Christopher has actually been following me on social media for a while. We've gone back and forth in the DMs, just talking about fitness and talk about different things with what he does and what I do. And then he joined my Facebook group, and then he booked a call, and now I'm his coach. And like the first call we had, it was like an hour long. We had so many good things to talk about, and I fell in love with who you are as a person, what you do, and your story. And that's why I wanted to bring you on today. But, there's so many people who don't know who you are. So I'd love for you to just give a small introduction to who you are, where you live, what you do, and then we'll get into all the fun stuff.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, that first call was awesome. I go back to that call a lot. I'm like, that was just really cool. Like the instant kind of like vibing very hard, just kind of being sure, like, okay, I want to be coached by you. And like, this is the thing I want to be a part of. Um, the way I usually start telling my story is my best friend has a way of putting it. He says, the point of view is that you are just a guy. He's like, that's why it's impressive. He's like, that's why I love you so much and I love your story. He's like, because you are just a dude who has done these things. And he's like, it's proof to people that it can be done. Um, I am about a 10-year veteran of the strength and conditioning world. I coached CrossFit for a long time. I've always coached some form of athlete. Um, yeah, 10 years in and always learning, always trying to figure it out, always trying to deliver a better product and like raise my like elevate my game and my level and just give people the best that I can. Um, I had a very interesting childhood, different childhood. I came into coaching in a different way. Most people came into it through athletics or trying to do something like improve performance or put on muscle mass or just like want to get jacked and improve the aesthetics of it. I came into it from I almost died of obesity when I was a child. So like when I was a child, yeah, 15, if you want to call that a child. When I was 15, I weighed 410 pounds and I was 5'7". And one day a doctor pulled me into a room and she was like, you'll never see 30, right? You'll never see 30. So we have to figure something out. And there were a lot of things within that really I didn't notice it until later because that was literally half my life ago. It molded a lot of the ways that I would coach, and it molded a lot of like the foundations that I would take into every class, every session, every workout, everything I program, and just how I communicate with athletes in general. Most coaches don't get into it that way. So a lot of times when I'm talking to coaches, getting to know them, and they hear that, most people, I'm a big dude. I'm in the 250s and I'm 6'3". I'm a large guy. Most people assume I was some kind of high school or collegiate football player for the most part, and just couldn't be further from the truth. I just grew up being a nerd, reading books, watching movies, listening to music, and then I found fitness as a form of literally saving your own life and building confidence and taking it back. And then I found a love of training athletes along with just training regular everyday people because I've never lost sight of the fact that I am just an everyday dude. Currently, I'm in Kentucky. I grew up in West Virginia. I was there for 25 or 26 years and moved here a few years ago. Um, don't see myself leaving anytime soon. I love it here. I love this part of the country. I think everybody should come visit. And I work at a gym that is connected to also do a jiu-jitsu gym because I've done jiu-jitsu for a while, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and it's a really cool setup. We have a lot of success with it, and a lot of the feedback we get about how that gym is run and sort of the vibe in it, and how I coach it's really positive and it's really humbling, and it's a really cool thing to see like this facility form around these ideas of this is what I want you to understand, that fitness can look different for two or three or four, six, whatever it is, different people that are all working out together. One guy's in here for his jujitsu performance and athletics. One person's in here just trying to get jacked. One person's in here trying to lose 20 pounds. And another person doesn't give a shit. They just know that they need to be healthy and move around. They hate every second of it, but they love the community. Those people always impress the hell out of me. I'm like, you hate all of this, but you're here anyway. That's fucking cool. Um, so yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. It's been a pretty wild ride. It's
Yeah. And that's just like that's just your story in a nutshell. And today we're going to definitely deep dive into different parts, but I want to go back to the part where people assume you're like a collegiate athlete, but that was far from the truth. Like you almost died of obesity and you got into fitness to save your life and all those things. And you and I had the conversation. I've been coaching for 5 years full time. And I've been in the fitness world space since I was 15, but I was on the opposite side of the spectrum. Like I had an eating disorder, and I was super skinny and lost all the weight and my hair was falling out. Like I was really sick. And that's why I got into wanting to coach people, because once I learned how to do things differently, I wanted to tell people and coach people how to actually create a sustainable life. But you and I had the conversation of you're going to be able to help so many more people that I can't even relate to because of your background. So how has that played out so far in the people that you've coached over the last 10 years?
So number one, that's a fantastic question. Number two, it's been interesting because it's a good chance. I notice that when people come into the gym, sometimes they're a little bit nervous that I am what they see. I am also, I don't know if there's a video of this that somebody's watching, but I'm also covered in tattoos. I am bald. I have a beard. I don't think that I look or come off as a scary person, but I've been told that I am sometimes. That like people are like intimidated, and I'm like, I hope you're not. Like I'm a giant teddy bear who writes poetry in his underwear and cries a lot. Like I just, it's just is what it is. Um, but it's one of those things like people come in and they look at someone like me, or they see me lifting weights, or they see me on Instagram and they're like, man, that guy's strong, he seems like it has it all together, he seems really confident. And all of those things are true at the same time that I'm just figuring it out along with you, the everyday person. Like I'm just trying to figure out, what do I really want out of this? At the end of the day, goals are always changing. You hit a goal. I told someone that's the worst part of lifting weights and hitting a PR, is that once you get into it, you might, okay, cool. I remember the first time I pulled 500 pounds on a deadlift. I had worked for that 500 pounds for about 8 months. I wanted to pull it on my 21st birthday, and I got myself to pull it on my 21st birthday. And I remember as soon as I set the bar down, the excitement of hitting a goal was gone. And I was immediately like, I want to do 505. Right. It's just like, it's so fast. It's a flash in the pan. And it gives you this good perspective to not put that on other people. And also when they see someone that looks like me, be open and vulnerable and be willing to talk about and tell my story and be willing to support them and just like genuinely ask, like, how is your day going? Or people coming in and they hit a lift and they're like, I'm sorry, that's not more. And I'm like, I don't care. That's 40 pounds more than you've ever done before. That's amazing. Like, it doesn't matter that it's like under 200 pounds or under 100 pounds or below 500. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. You're still in here doing things, getting better, and you're still putting the work in. And then because I don't lead off with like, hey, by the way, I used to weigh 400 pounds. Like I used to be obese and almost died. Like that's kind of a heavy lead in for an introduction. Usually you just start with, do you know how to squat? And do you have any injuries? That's usually a way better way to start the conversation with a client. But either way, when you finally get into that, you can see you can see the mood kind of change. People will be like, oh, like you were raised by a single mom and with a sister, and you spent most of your like formative years reading books and like being on the speech and debate team and doing theater, and which everyone finds hilarious that I did all that. But it's like it's awesome. They're like, you're not really what you appear to be. And I'm like, yeah, and you are also not what you appear to be. You are not the outside aesthetic that I am laying eyes on for the first time. You are deeper than that. There is more to you than that. And I want to get to know you as a person while you're in here, as long as that's what you want out of the gym, right? If you want to just come in, do your workout, have some pleasantries, be polite, be friendly, and go home, then cool. I won't pry anymore. You don't have to tell me anything you don't ever want to tell me. But normally, when you don't ask for it and you just let people get stronger and you just guide them on that path, usually they end up being like, man, I'm having a really hard day. and like they want to talk to you about it, or they end up being like, hey, I'm like, I feel really fucking good today. Like I feel great. And I'm like, good. That's the highbrow shit we're after. That's the confidence that we're trying to build. Um, it's also, of course, really convenient when you have people come in that are very overweight, right? Because those are probably the people that I have to actually confide in and be vulnerable with almost immediately. Because I remember the first time I ever went to like a group fitness thing was CrossFit. I'd worked out just in a YMCA by myself and with some friends for a few years. But when I finally got to CrossFit, I sat in my car for about half an hour before I went in, just being fucking nervous because I'd never done anything like that before. And I really worried about people not like, again, not understanding that like I'm not strong. At the time I was a runner, so I was a pretty good runner, but like I wasn't strong. I couldn't do all these things. I knew that they did all this gymnastic shit and like I couldn't do any of that. And I thought it was going to be a problem. And turns out it wasn't, right? But when you get someone who is so far down the path, right? So if the starting line is here, wherever that is for people, if it's right here, you pick your proverbial here. Anyone that's like 100 plus pounds overweight, they're starting behind the starting line. They have work to do before they can actually begin the process of doing things like getting stronger and really pushing themselves metabolically to take back their health. They have a surplus that they have to get rid of and that we have to burn through. That process can be hard. And I think it's really important to have a coach that understands that. And I think it is a little unfair as a coach. It's an unfair advantage that I have been there, right? Because I'm like, I know how to talk to you. Like, I know what to say. And I'm also proof to you that it can be done. I've lost over 200 pounds and I did it by myself, right? I'd only been doing CrossFit for 6 months by the time I stepped on the scale and I saw under 200 pounds on the scale for the first time since like middle school, right? And it's just one of those things, man. Like it really lessens the load for a lot of people, especially if you can gently let them know this is going to be a hard process. I want you here. I'm here to support you. I'm here to teach you. I don't expect anything from you. I don't need anything from you except to come into the gym and do the work. That's it. I start with the bare minimum with people. And they're like, "Oh, well, like, do you expect that of them?" I said, "No, I'm telling you what I expected of myself and what other people expected of me." My doctor didn't hammer me down with like I remember when we had the conversation about like you have to lose weight or you're going to like you'll never see 30. I remember that conversation wasn't suddenly like fire hose of information of things to do and instructions. It was you just need to move around. We need to be more considerate about what we're eating and I need you to move around more. That was it. Like end of list. And I remember looking back on it being like, I wish I had more instruction, but also realizing that that was a really good place to start because anything else is usually overwhelming for people,
Mm-hmm.
right? And now I usually tell people, if they're like, how do I get healthy? I'm like, eat more protein, drink more water, walk for 20 minutes every day. Do that and see how it goes, right? And
Yep.
then if you want, we'll add in resistance training, right? And
Yep.
then if you want, we can do something like CrossFit or Olympic lift, or we can run more sprints or anything. But with people that are in such a high surplus like I was, you have to get them to the starting line, right? Like I couldn't push myself hard enough at that point. I remember the first run I ever went on, I ran 3 blocks. I thought my heart was going to explode. I ran, quote unquote, 3 blocks, thought my heart was going to explode, and I walked home. But that was it. And then the next day, I was like, let's see if we can just get to the fourth block. And of course, there comes a point when you're trying to go to the fifth, sixth, seventh block, whatever, you can't make it. So instead, you can't run it. You decide to walk it, right? And yeah, I tell people all the time, like the idea of progressive overload, before I was ever taught that, I was already doing that for myself in a way because the town I'm from, the park has trees like every 50 meters planted all the way around it. And if you go around, it's a mile. And I would always tell myself, get to the next tree, get to the next tree. And I would make notes in my workout log. Okay, you got to this tree around this corner this time. We're going to try over the course of the next couple of days to get to the one after that. Right. And then eventually I looked up one day and I even realized I just run a mile and like I hadn't stopped. And I've been like, oh, okay, we made a full revolution here. What do we do now? Well, the answer is do another one. Do it again. You got through all the trees. Now plus one. Now plus one. Now plus one. Like, and when you have the ability to kind of break things down to people that are in such like a hard state, both health wise, emotionally, and physically, like when you can break it down into a very simple process of just, hey, it's just work and it doesn't have to make you feel like you like have to fail every day. It doesn't have to actually be that hard yet. Like it takes a lot of pressure off of people and they're a lot more comfortable coming into the gym.
Mhm.
I also am always telling too, I'm like, guys, I've got loose skin. Like, I've got loose skin around my chest and at the bottom of my stomach. I've got this little pouch at the bottom of my stomach under my belly button that no matter how much weight I lose or however lean I've ever been, it's always there. And it's just part of it. And I'm like, okay. And I don't want to get it removed yet. I've never made that decision. And I'm like, okay, it's fine. Like, that's part of it. Like, things will happen. And along the way, you're going to encounter things you don't like. You might lose 200 pounds and be like, I don't like my loose skin. And I'm like, okay, well, we've just lost 200 pounds. Let's see how much we can fill out. And then at the end of that process, if you want to get it removed, get it removed if you can. And if not, maybe you'll like how you look. Like, you never know. Um, but yeah, when people come into the gym for the first time like that those are the clients that I'm always more vulnerable with kind of immediately. Like, hey, I'm not you. I don't know how you feel. I don't know how you think about this, but this is how I felt. This is how I think about it. And I will say the important part of that stuff. So a term I never use is fat. I never make fat jokes. I never call people fat. I never say that guy's fat, she's fat, whatever it is, because that became almost a derogatory term. Because most people, and this is a big thing people don't realize, most people don't get there on their own and they don't choose it. Because I think that if people took a step back and they thought about it, why the fuck would you choose that? Right? Why? Why would you choose it unless there was some kind of underlying emotional thing going on? There was some kind of underlying physical thing going on. And I think I've met a lot of coaches that don't have that courtesy of just taking themselves out of the judgment zone of it emotionally and just being like, hey, I don't want to weigh 400 pounds. I'm supposed to weigh 185. Maybe I should like this person's not that big. They're not that tall. Like they shouldn't weigh that. They're probably miserable. And you are. When you weigh that much, you're just miserable. I would sweat going up a set of stairs. My joints always hurt. I was always sick. Like it sucks. Like nobody wants that. And like that is one thing as a coach I'm always very, very aware of is like you didn't want it, they don't want it. You have to take that into consideration when you talk to them.
Mhm. I would
Right.
100% agree. And I think on that note, like I said before, I can't relate to this specific situation. So I think a big question that probably a lot of people have that are not in that boat, they're not obese or overweight or anything like that, is how does it even happen? And then why does it keep happening? Why does it get worse? Right? Like I now know as a coach why it does. It all comes down to people's belief systems, the trauma they've experienced as a kid, and emotional eating. 100%. And every case is a little bit different, but 9 times out of 10, that's usually what's happening. And you're right. Like nobody wants to be obese. It has to be uncomfortable. I have never been, but it has to be uncomfortable. It has to hurt. You're saying you were sick all the time. Your joints hurt. You sweat going up a flight of stairs. Like, so tell me and help me understand and other people understand, like, for you specifically, your situation, when did it start? And when you were 15 and the doctor told you you're not going to live to see 30 if you don't lose weight, like, how did you even get to that point?
So for me, I was raised in a town that I always say it tries. It tries very hard. Huntington, West Virginia can be a wonderful place to live. Um, it's also a deeply troubled town in a lot of ways. It's not for me anymore. I know a lot of great people that still live there, and I love them to death, and I love that they love being there. I don't have any kind of like animosity towards that town or anything, but it's also very different now than it was when I was a kid. So I was raised by a single mom, so a lot of times it was what and like my mom's the best in the fucking world. I got the mom in the world, but A lot of it was walking home. A lot of it was her working late. A lot of it was making snacks, making your own dinner, making food. A lot of it was TV dinners, bologna sandwiches, American cheese and mayonnaise sandwiches was a personal favorite back then. I think I might actually vomit if I was to eat one of those right now. Um, I was also a very small kid. I was really little. I mean, when I started high school, and granted, I say this, and everyone's like, "That's not that small." When I started high school, I was 5'7". When I finished high school, I was 6 foot. So I grew a lot in fucking high school. Um, but I was a really little kid, and like just run around Appalachia. Like sometimes shit just happens. So I got bullied a lot. I got bullied a lot, and then I'd go home, like mom's not there, right? My older sister is, and she'll take care of me, but like she's only 3 years older than I am. So you go home and you go to school, you get bullied. You come home in your neighborhood, you get bullied. You don't feel good, you miss your mom. What happens? You just do what feels good. You eat, it tastes good. Like you make a few sandwiches, you make a Hunger Man, you sit in front of the TV, you watch fucking Ren and Stimpy or Cat Dog or whatever it was back then, and you just eat, right? It tastes good, it feels good, it gives you that dopamine, whatever it is, makes you just like feel safe. Um, and then what that kind of stuff leads into is that as you gain weight, you're uncomfortable with your body. So you chase that moment of feeling good. You chase that flavor, like literally and figuratively. You chase that flavor because it brings calm and you know what it is. And it's something in your day that's not judging you, right? It's a person that's not judging you. It's a thing that's not judging you. It's not even down to like fucking school desks. Because when I was at my heaviest, I was uncomfortable sitting in a desk at school because I just hit every point of it, right? And I'm hot, and then you start wearing too many clothes. So you're wearing like 2 or 3 layers at a time to try to cover up the fact that you're big, but then you look bigger. So then people capitalize on that and bully you for it. And you just go home and you just want it to stop, but you don't want to look at yourself in the mirror. You don't have the tools in place as a kid, and especially being that young, to tell yourself that it'll be okay and that you are worthy of love no matter what iteration of you are on at this point, and that you do deserve to be here and treated well. So you eat, you drink soda, you stop going outside because, again, you get too big. You're always fucking uncomfortable. You're not going to go outside in the West Virginia summer because then you're just sweating and then you're more uncomfortable and then you can feel everything and everything's pressing against each other and then you smell bad. Like you're thinking ahead all the time to these situations of like, oh, that's just not going to go well if I do it. So you just don't, and you fall back on it. I was an emotional eater out the ass, and that took me a long time to get over. That is the one thing that I'm still very proud of myself for, is that I stopped emotionally eating in my early 20s. So when I get depressed, when I get anxious, I don't want to eat. I don't run to eating. Sometimes my brain's like, just go eat some fucking ice cream. And I'm like, if I want ice cream, I'll get ice cream. But I know what this is, and I'm not going to do it. Right. That took a lot of work. Right. That was when I was 15. I'm 30. It's taken half my life to get to the point where I'm like, no, I'm good. I don't need that. That will make you feel good. What will make you feel good tomorrow? You're allowed to not feel good right now. Right now is allowed to, you're allowed to be anxious. You're allowed to be depressed. You're allowed to feel like shit. We don't like it. It's not the feeling we're after. But let's take care of ourselves right now in a healthy way, stick to our plan, because that will set us up tomorrow for more success. And then we'll be proud of ourselves. And we've shown ourselves I can overcome that moment of anxiety and of like self-degradation and of overeating and missing out on the plan. It's like that's why goals are important, because it's like, hey, set a goal. Like get to the like I said, get to the next fucking tree. What's your tree? Like, what are you looking for? Are you looking to lose 5 pounds? Okay, you had a bad day, you got into a fight with your partner, your kids won't stop crying, or like making everything hard because sometimes kids suck. Like we were all kids once, we all suck sometimes. Um, it's too hot, your car broke down, you got into a fight with your boss at work, you started a new job and it's not going well, your workout sucked, whatever it is, it's always like, cool, let it go, leave it behind. That's the I have a few clients who are always amazed because we've worked out together a couple times. I usually have to work out alone, but I've been fortunate enough to work out with some people a few times. And they're always amazed because they've seen days where it doesn't go my way. And they're like, how do you stand up and just like shrug? And then you just go about it. And I'm like, because it didn't do anything for me. It does nothing for me to be pissed about this. So instead, I have a rule. If I have a bad workout, I'm doing some stuff I like before I leave the gym. I'm going to do some shrugs. I'm going to do some curls, some dips, some push ups, whatever it is. I'm going to do some kettlebell swings. I'm going to do something I like, right? You got the work done. That's the reward. It doesn't have to have gone perfectly. And it's the same thing mentally every single day, trying to lose weight, trying to take back your health is you did it today. You had a bad day. Don't let that ruin it. Don't ruin it now. And I tell people all the time, go to bed, drink water. If it's nighttime and you've had a bad day and you want to go eat, go to bed, drink a big glass of water and just go fucking lay down, right? Turn on something you like. I don't care if you're awake for an extra hour. Turn on something you like, have some time for you, take an extra long shower, do fucking something, but do something for you that doesn't detract from the fact that tomorrow you want to wake up and be proud of how you ended today.
Mm.
But you get to that point through hard, concise, and diligent work. And also, my sister was actually the first one to say this to me, like in my life. She looked at me one time and she said, I want you to know, this was back when I was heavy. She's like, I want you to know that I love you. You are worthy of love, and you are worthy of love no matter what iteration of yourself you're in, or no matter what you look like. And I still tell people that all the time. I'm like, what I see doesn't change anything about the facts that you deserve like my grace, my understanding, and like my respect. And no matter what, if someone's excited about their fucking job, I'm going to be excited about their job because that's their thing. I tell everybody, I'm like, that doesn't sound like something I could do. And there's a there's a giant Toyota plant here in Georgetown. It's what we're known for. And people come in, they're like, yeah, I just like work at Toyota, or like I just like work on the line or something, like just packing boxes or like putting things together. And I'm like, I couldn't do that. I couldn't do it. And like, why? I'm like, well, for a number of reasons, but I couldn't fucking do it. Like, good on you, man. That sounds way above my pay grade. That's what I tell people all the time. I'm like, that's not something I want to do. So good for you. Um, but you get to 400 pounds also just because you lose sight of everything. You just lose sight of it. You lose sight of, you become used to feeling like shit. You become used to being sick. You become used to sweating all the time, no matter where you are. You just honestly, you don't, I never really noticed I was getting heavy. I just woke up one day and was like, holy shit, where am I? Like, it's like those jokes when it's like when you're 5 years old and you sit up and you have consciousness suddenly and you have memories. It's like the same thing there. It's like you just suddenly realize one day, like, oh, fuck, I'm here. And it's like, cool, well, what do we do now? And like, that's the job of a coach is to help you figure out what to do now. I've been there. Like, I know what to do. And I will say where I grew up, my childhood had a large part to play in why I got there. I also never blame people for why they got there because I can't blame my childhood self. I can't blame a 6 year old for getting heavy. I can't blame a middle schooler for getting heavy, right? I don't know when he got heavy. It probably wasn't, you probably didn't gain 300 pounds in the last year. This has probably been a long process. Where were you 5 years ago, right? Whether you're 40, 50, 60, 30, whatever it is, where were you a few years ago? What kickstarted this process for you? Like what got you to this point? Like go back to the source of it,
Mm-hmm.
right? The source of it for me was that I was a small kid. I wasn't athletic. I am the least athletic person you could probably ever meet, to be totally honest. I am very uncoordinated. And it's just like, and I'm not fast. Like I never played sports. I never did these things. I did martial arts when I was a kid, but then at a certain point you get too heavy, you can't really do it anymore. Right. And it's just one of those things. A lot of people don't have outlets for it. They don't have outlets to express themselves. They don't have outlets to physically work. And you just wake up one day and it's just there. Right. And it's a weird feeling. It's a weird feeling. You feel like you're just out in the middle of the fucking ocean all of a sudden. You're like, I can't see shore anymore. Like I just turned my back for a second.
Well, I think it's because you said that like it was just the norm. It was just a part of your life, and your brain then believes that this is who we are, this is what we do, this is safe. This is where we need to be because there's a constant flight or fight or freeze response that our body responds to different stresses, and yours was kind of frozen. You just, this is, we're freezing here, this is what it is, this keeps us safe, this is what makes us feel good, 100% chasing that dopamine hit and that dopamine high. And that's with any quote unquote addiction or anything that makes you feel good. And it's not just with food, it's, we could get into a whole plethora of other things. And for those of you listening, if you've never read The Molecule of More, I highly suggest reading it, because it talks about how the role of dopamine plays in your decision making skills. And dopamine is an asshole, because it makes you feel so good, but it gets to the point where you reach this threshold and then you have to push it a little bit more to get more dopamine. So maybe for you or other people, it was, okay, this was what we ate for a while, but then that wasn't good enough. So we got to have one more thing on top of that, or we have to add this in or that in and this in. And it just kept going. And correct me if I'm wrong, though.
Oh, 100%. It was like two sandwiches did it, and then it had to be three, and then it had to be plus chips, then it had to be plus something else, plus something else. Like it all compounded. And it got to the point like I got to the point where I was like sneaking food. I would like sneak and eat things. We'd go to movies and I would like say I was going to the bathroom. I would go like get a couple hot dogs and I would snarp hot dogs in the fucking bathroom so no one would catch me. And then I'd go back to the movie. Like, and that is like that's a hard spot to be. That's a hard place to be. And it's really hard to pull yourself out of it, right? But you want more. Like you just want to feel good.
So, okay, I'm I'm gonna say it, because this is real talk and real conversation. We now live in a society where there's so much hashtag body positivity.
Mm-hmm.
And it really started with, I think, Lizzo.
Mm-hmm.
And if I was judging from the outside and I was saying what I think on out loud, like, she is overweight,
Mm-hmm.
but she's comfortable in her skin and she seems to be doing great. And I don't know what her health is like, but she's convinced everyone that no matter what size you are, no matter if you're that size and that's detrimental to your health. I'm sorry, common sense. If you are overweight or obese, that is going to be detrimental to your health, period.
Yes.
You're not
Yes.
supposed to be that heavy.
Mm-hmm.
But we live in a society where we're convinced it's okay. Just love yourself. Like, no matter what size you are, no matter how you look, just love yourself, and you're fine just how you are. So, but there's so many people who think the way that you, like, it's uncomfortable. This is not where we're supposed to be. We got here, it is what it is, but like, what would you say to that? And then I have another question on top of that, but let's start there first.
You have to love yourself. You have to. You'll never sustainably lose weight and get healthy by hating yourself.
I
I tried
agree.
it. I tried it for a long time. Doesn't work. I am also someone, I tell people in the gym, I have a thing that I say. I always say, this is your workout. I'm not your dad and I'm not a cop. I can't make you do anything, right? It's taking responsibility for yourself and for your own actions and for your own health. Now, if someone is willing to accept, like, and it doesn't fucking matter what I think, like, about it. Like, you're your own person. Like, they are
Agreed.
their own person.
Agreed.
If you are comfortable loving yourself, like, and you are overweight, but you don't give a shit, and you're just out there fucking rocking it all the time, and you are all about it, dude, for me, I'm like, cool. Like, I've got the coaching mind. I've got the thing of like, hey, there's probably because my brain goes to like, I want you here longer. Like, I want you to have a longer life, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
being overweight is a really good way to shorten your life. But I'm also someone that's just like, if you love yourself, eventually it'll happen for the most part. That's the only reason that I started losing weight was because nobody forced it on me.
Agreed.
My mom always tells me, she's like, I just started making better choices at the store for you. And she's like, and I just reminded you that I always loved you, no
Mm-hmm.
matter what. And she's like, and then one day I came home and you were putting on sneakers outside and I asked you what you were doing and you said, I'm going to go on a run. And she's like, and I went inside and just started like bawling my eyes out because you had gotten to that point. right?
Yeah.
My mom has also worked out for my entire existence. So she would just like drag me to the Y. She never made me work out. And for a while, you can't because gyms are fucking weird about ages and shit. Um, so like I would just sit and read a book, but I was in the environment. I was exposed to it. So when the moment finally came, I'm gonna work out. And then the moment finally came, like maybe I want to like look, maybe I want like better arms. What do I do? Go to the Y. You've been there your entire life. And I think the body positivity is an idea and a thing that I can get behind. I have a lot of these conversations with my buddy Jet. We talk about this a lot because it can be really hard as a coach who knows the detriment of being overweight and not taking your health seriously in some regard. It can be a hard thing to watch because you just want to help. I just want to help. I just want you to be healthy. Like I just want to I like give you something simple. Like just like go move a little bit every day, but it's still people taking responsibility for their health, for their size, and what they want to spend their time doing. Right. It's like I always like the other end of the spectrum that I always go with is like look at like really high level powerlifters.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to most of them, and I love powerlifting. I fucking love it. It's one of my favorite things to watch, especially geared lifting. Like I call it when people are lifting dangerous weight, like, and you're just adding meat, and this dude's got like 1,000 pounds on his back, and this might fucking kill him, and everyone's spotting him. Oh hell yeah! Like, sign me up. I'm going to that meet. I want to watch. But like, it's the same thing. Fucking West Side versus the World came out a few years ago, and after Dave Hoff did like I think it was one of his squat attempts, he fucking put on an oxygen mask, and then he took it off and he said, "Welcome to fucking powerlifting." Like, yeah, like that's the mentality there. Like they are doing this for a performance trait and a performance goal. But it's at the same thing. Like, I'm not gonna tell them that you need to lose weight. They know. Look at Eddie Hall. Eddie Hall knew he needed to lose weight. He had a doctor tell him he needed to lose weight. So he took the responsibility, the personal responsibility, and made the choice to do it. Right. Until you're willing to do that, even within the general population, because we're not everyone that walks around overweight is not an elite powerlifter. They're not a strongman competitor, obviously. Until you're willing to take responsibility for your own health, I'm just going to show you grace. I'm just going to let you know I care about you. I'm just going to let you know that I love you. And my coaching mind, it can be there because I've also never had anyone come into my life that is that overweight who doesn't eventually ask for advice.
Yeah.
It's just
And
one of
I
those things. But so like, so not to cut you off,
no, you're good.
but like just finish the thought. I love the body positivity thing because I want people to love themselves because I hated myself for so long and it only made me more unhealthy. It only made me angrier. It only drove my depression. So I love the body positivity thing. I wish that what I wish it didn't do was I wish that body positivity and being healthy weren't confused for one another.
Agreed. That
That's
is,
the
I
thing.
think, yeah, yeah, yeah. That's exactly where as you kept talking, I'm like, yeah, I agree with everything you're saying because even for me, I hated myself when I had my eating disorder and when I was starving myself. Like that's the whole reason why I was starving because I hated myself, right? And it wasn't until I started accepting where I was at, the body that God had given me, and how I was created, and loving myself that I actually started seeing change. So 100%, I agree. You do have to love yourself and accept you for you before you can start to be able to make the changes that you want to make if that's what you want to do. But I agree with you. The fact that body positivity and then taking care of your health is so confused. And in my opinion, here's the problem. So many quote unquote influencers is who is confusing the two.
Mm-hmm.
And then people can't think for themselves. Like when you see one of those influencers who is all about body positivity, yet they're stuffing their face with Doritos and ice cream and soda and not actually taking care of their health, but it's like I love myself, so I'm gonna eat junk food. I'm common sense doesn't make sense to me. Does
Yeah.
am I on the right track here?
No, I think I agree. Because common sense to me, because of the lifestyle that I live and the lifestyle that you live, common sense to us is to take care of our health,
Right.
right? And it's to eat things that are real food. And it's like it's to eat real food, it's to exercise, it's to go move. And Instagram, for as great as it is, and social media for as wonderful as it is, because I've met a lot of amazing people through social media, and I've learned a lot of amazing things too. it's also fucking infuriating,
100%.
especially because like people come in and they want to look like this person or that person or that person. And I'm like, man, if you go through their tagged photos and you just look at like what they looked like when someone ran into them at a restaurant, that's not what they look like.
Mm-hmm.
They did a photo shoot, they saved the photos, and now they're spreading them out,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or they took all these pictures now, they took all these videos now, they recorded all these workouts at one time, right? They're sponsored by apparel companies, so they just fucking change their clothes, right? And again, some of this is assumption, some of it is just things that we know to be true. I'm like, that's not what it looks like. Like that's not what they look like all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's like, I don't know, it's fucking Brad Pitt in Fight Club. Everyone wants to look like Brad Pitt in Fight Club. That man is the most attractive person on the planet in that movie. But that's not what he looked like all the time. That's not
Mm-hmm.
what Brad Pitt looked like before Fight Club or after Fight Club, right? Like people work up to do that. And also, when you're using your body as a selling point, I'm fucking all about it. Like 100% do your thing. That's your business card,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's their business card. Do your thing. But it also, it sent to me, it sends the wrong message to like, this is what you'll look like, or this is what you're supposed to look like. And that's not necessarily the influencer's fault. It is also the fault of like social media as a whole
Mm-hmm.
perpetuating it, that this is
Mm-hmm.
what we're supposed to look like.
Mm-hmm.
We're not. I'm not ripped, jacked dude, but I'm fucking strong and I'm thick and I'm cool with that. And I want to see what I look like really lean. That's what we're working on currently. I
Exactly.
want I want to see what I look like, but I also understand that if I get there and when I do, I probably won't stay there
No. Me
because
as your
being
coach, I'm going to tell you it's
yeah,
not
exactly.
sustainable.
Exactly. And it's not. And me being strong is more important to me than the aesthetics that I have. I just want to know one time what I look like
Yep.
super lean. That's
Yeah.
it. And people, that's the biggest thing with like fitness influencers and Instagram influencers that does kind of bug me. And I've talked to a lot of them, and a lot of them are super nice people, just living their fucking lives, just doing their thing, and they're just making their money. And I'm like, cool, man, I love it. You're at the end of the day, you're trying to spread the word about like health and wellness and fitness and try to encourage people to go do these things. But at the same time, you're responsible for the message you put out.
100%.
People don't want to take responsibility for that. Like, it's like, whoa, I'm just some dude on Instagram. It's like, no, you're not. You have 3 million followers. Like, you have 100,000 followers. You have 50,000 followers, whatever it is. You have a reach that people clearly listen to.
Mm-hmm.
Have to be considerate about the things you say. You have to be considerate about the things you put out. And I'm all about the thing of like, keeping it honest, keeping it real, being you. But it gets to a point where we're at a certain level, you're making money off of this. Like, are you gonna just be you? Probably not. You're probably gonna sell something. You're getting all these sponsorships, all these deals, like all these people fucking love you and adore you and they're buying all your shit. You may not. And like who doesn't fucking lose themselves in that shit sometimes? Like and
I,
who can say that they wouldn't? That they know for a fact that if like you had 3 million people on social media who were like, I'll buy anything and you put out, it'd be really hard not to lose yourself to it, right?
100%. I mean, even for me, like the 90, the way I have grown my business, even when I was working at Rough and then when I was working at Hidden Summit and now starting real life coaching, the majority of people come from my social media. But here's what I've always told myself before I even started growing on social media was like, I don't want to be like the mainstream fit influencers who just show the highlight reels, who just post their ab workouts, who are only flexing in their photos. Like I did that for a short amount of time. I was always flexing because I was self-conscious and I wanted to show people what being lean and strong look like. 100%. I will take extreme ownership of that, but I'm like, this isn't real. I'm not flexed all the time. When I sit down, my stomach has rolls. I have back fat. Like I have a little bit of a muffin top and like I'm not scared to say those things, but with my social media, I always want to show my journey. Like last year, I was the leanest I've ever been in my entire life. and it was fantastic. You want to know what it also was? Fucking miserable. I was hungry. I wanted to eat all the things. I wasn't as strong. And I lost my period for 2 months last year. Like my period was all sorts of jacked up. Not saying that I was starving myself, but my body fat percentage was way too low. But I had abs and I was the leanest I was. And it lasted for like a month and it was fantastic. Would I ever go to that point again? No, I don't think so. I did it
Yeah.
once and it wasn't worth it. Like you, I want to be strong. I want to be fit. I want to be athletic. And if I don't have a visible fucking six pack all year round, I'm not going to be mad about it. Now, here's the other point, right? Doing what I do and running a business like I do, I also I hate saying this. I have to look the part because you're right. It is my business card. If I can't get results for myself, how are other people going to want to work with me if I can't get results for them because I can't get it for myself? But here's the kicker, right? Like I'm always going to explain to people like I'm on ebbs and flows of this journey. There are going to be cycles where I am in a deficit. There's going to be cycles where I'm living that maintenance life and it's fantastic. And then right now, like I'm in a surplus. I'm trying to gain weight. So what do? I show people my weigh-ins every day. I do my best to show people what I eat throughout the day. I forget sometimes, but I'm always talking about how this is a journey and this is the process. And hopefully, I mean, you came here through my social media. Hopefully I am a real person and I'm not like, I will be the first to tell you I don't care about your money. I don't care about
Yeah.
your money. I want to help you as a person get from where you're at to where you want to be. But in the same breath, I also got to pay my bills. And this is what I do for my career. So like there's that give and take of like, you got to invest into yourself, invest into me, but I'm going to invest everything that I have into you because that's who I am as a person.
Exactly. And that's kind of the motherfucker of it, right? Is that you can look at Instagram influencers, and I don't know that I would call you an influencer.
Thank you. I hate that word.
I wouldn't call you an Instagram influencer at all. That's kind of the motherfucker of it, though, is that you're looking at these people and it's like, all right, maybe I don't love that this is what they're selling, and maybe I don't love that like this is their thing, but they're also just making a living, and also people are getting things out of it, and people are moving because of it,
Mm-hmm.
right? And like, and also, isn't it up to us? Like, you have to be careful about the message you put out, but you also have to be careful about the messages you take in.
100%.
Like it's a two-way street, right? You are responsible for what you know. Like, if you're gonna get the news, you probably shouldn't read the National Enquirer. You should probably fucking read the New York Times, right? Like, you shouldn't get something about like alligator lizard people that live in New York City and think that that's the new the valid news source. You should probably read like the New York Times and like see how like the fucking stock market's doing or something, or what
Mm-hmm.
how world politics are going. They're never going well. But like, it's one of those things, like it goes both ways. Like, it's everyone's responsibility, and it's like, find someone you agree with. Like, there are people on social media that I really agree with, and I've found myself feeling like I'm doing the exact same thing that people that love Instagram influencers do. I
Mm-hmm.
just like this message more. I
Mm-hmm.
just agree with this message more. So it's like, is it a pot calling the kettle black situation? A little bit, right? And then I will say though, there are sometimes that some social media influencers are just fucking wrong. And that's
Mm-hmm.
everywhere. They're just fucking wrong. They know they're wrong. They're just fucking wrong, but they're selling it. And I'm like, at that point, I'm like, don't make your money off of a lie. Come on, man. Like, that, you're just intentionally deceiving people. Don't make your money off of a lie. You know that's not real. You know that's not how that works. Anyone that has even the basic training to be a coach or certification or whatever it is knows that's not how that fucking works. Like, why are you telling people this, right?
Well, and that's the thing too, right? Like they try and think about how can they stand out? What's their brand? What are the aspects that they want to like what's the message they want to get out? When really when it comes to the health and fitness industry and going back to how we started this conversation of like the gen pop, like the people who want to come in and just move more and focus on their health and lose a little bit of weight or get stronger, whatever, don't complicate it. Like
Yeah,
it's not rocket science. It's actually quite simple. Eat
yeah,
more protein, drink more water, move more.
yeah.
That's it.
Training is the simplest thing in the world.
but people well, I don't know what I should be doing. What do I do this here? Do I do that here? Do I do cardio after I train? Do I do it before I train? How many days should I take off? How many days should I train? I'm like, can can you can you
Just
just
do
move?
something.
Yeah, just do something. Like something
Yeah.
is better than nothing. And this was something that I even brought up on we just started the challenge, and today's the first day of the challenges. I brought up on the kickoff call last night. I asked everybody, I just want you to move your body for 45 minutes every day at least. I don't care what it is. It can be your beach body workout. It can be one of my workouts. It can be a workout in the first form app. It can be a walk. It can be yoga. It can be stretching. It can be, I don't care what it is. Just move your body for this amount of time every single day. And
Yep.
then, I got the question of every day. Yeah. You
Yeah.
don't have to
Every
go
day.
balls to the wall every day. You can walk one day or you can do yoga one day, but
Yeah.
you're still going to move your body. And I think that's where people get so stuck and they freeze and then they don't do anything with their health because they just don't know what to do, when really it's very quite simple. Eat more protein, drink more water, get good sleep, move your body. You do that
And I think,
consistently and you'll see
and
progress.
and I think that's actually an interesting like point that ties all of this that we've talked about together, like in like a circular pattern or whatever. It is all like it all stems back to one another. It's like people don't look and feel they want the way they want to look. They go on their social media pumps it out. I told someone the other day, I'm like, I don't care if you follow any influencers or any fitness accounts or anything. You can always find a video of someone bench pressing on your Instagram.
Yep.
Like it's always there. You see these strong people, lean people, and you don't like your body. You want to work out. You're working out. You've worked out for a little bit. You don't look like that person yet. What am I doing wrong? Start doing research, find out what they're doing. They're doing things you don't need to be doing yet if you want to think about it like clinically or as a coach, or that don't interest you. You do it, you beat your dick in about it because you're like, well, I'm going to do this anyway because I want to look like that. When in reality, you'll never look like that because you're not that person. You could be that strong and that lean as yourself, but you'll never
Amen.
look like them.
Amen. Say that again.
Just
Can you say that again one more time?
you'll never look like them. You're not them.
Thank
Like, dude, you look incredible. I'll never look like you because you're what, 5'2"?
you. 5'3". Thank you.
I'm literally a foot taller than you. And I'm like, I have what, 130 pounds on you? I'll never look like you, but I can look like a version of myself that has done the same amount of work that you have, right? And it all ties into that circular thing because then you even get into things like body positivity and loving yourself. I'm like, well, should I really care this much? And it's like, you should care this much if you care this much.
Mm-hmm.
You should care this much if you want to.
Mm-hmm.
I adore my family. One of the things that they have been really bad about in the past is seeing videos of me lifting and being like, why is that necessary? Why do you need to do that? That looks dangerous. You're going to fucking hurt yourself. And I'm like, well, just so you're aware, no one just puts 600 pounds on a bar and sees if they can lift it. Like, if they're smart, that sounds like a terrible idea. You progressively build and add to that. And then I've been coaching for a long time. I know how to do it. And I'm like, it
Mm-hmm.
is painful. Like when you pick up 600 pounds off the ground, you feel like your head's going to explode.
Mm-hmm.
Tell people all the time, like, because if like people want to, like, they're like, well, we should cheer you on. I'm like, I can't hear you. Like, I can't hear you. I'm seeing stars and like there's black dots in my eyes. And like it sounds like I'm going through like a wind tunnel. Like, I can't hear you yelling for me anyway. But if you want to, go for it. Like, I love the support. Like, I appreciate it. You're my friends. But like, it all it all feeds into each other. Like it all feeds into each other because you want to look like that person who doesn't look like that all the time. But when you see them quote unquote all the time, it's on their Instagram or their Facebook. They look shredded year round. They're not.
Nope.
They're not shredded year round. Like, and that's just the truth of it because nobody is stage ready 24/7, right? It's not an optimal way for most people to live.
No,
Like,
not at all.
you have those genetic outliers
Yeah, I
like
will
that are
say
like that
there's
are
one
just free.
person. Yeah. There's one person I follow, and she is literally shredded and lean all fucking year long. And at that point, I'm like, it's her genetics, and I don't have her genetics. And like you said, I will never be her because I am not her. And here's the thing: there, there's no one who can do you better than you. Like
Yeah.
you are the only you are unique. You are the only Christopher Bean on this planet who is you. And that is what I think people really need to lean into is like there's only one of them. So how can you be the best version of yourself in whatever capacity that looks like for you? And it brings me to the next question that I wanted to ask you of um people have to get to the point where they want those things and they're willing to do the work for those things. Because here's the other thing, and I get this comment and these DMs all the time. I wish I could look like you. I wish I had your discipline. I wish I was as strong as you. I wish I had your confidence. Motherfucker, you think I woke up like this? No, bitch. I had to
Yeah.
work for it. Like there was no wishing. Now, don't get me wrong. There was a point where I was when I was in high school. I'm like, I wish I could do that. I wish I could do that. And then I realized, well, shit. There's no fucking genie on this planet. That's a Disney movie. There's no lamp that I can rub 3 fucking times. No, no, no. I've got to work for it. So for your situation, when
Mhm.
you went to the doctor that day, was that the day that you wanted to change? Did you want to start changing before that, or was it even, months after that where this, like, you came to the point of like, no, I want to get better? Because when you want to get better, then it's easier to do the work. But if people don't want to get better and people don't want to help, I can't coach those people.
The thing about going to the doctor was it was the first time that someone, number one, had explained to me how severe my situation was. And also, it was the first time someone made it a team effort.
Mm,
She never said you. She always said we.
mm,
She's like, we need to get your weight under control. We need to get your weight down. We need to make sure that you're still here. Right. It made it a team effort, which actually was a really big thing that I take into coaching that I didn't realize until years later. That is the moment that was instilled in me, is that this is not a solo effort, right? This is done with other people around you.
amen.
Um, and you're allowed to like lean into it. And if you're not comfortable leaning into it, just like try to accept it a little bit more every day that there are people here that want to help, right? Also get comfortable with the fact that you don't have to take everybody's advice. People are really bad about that. Like, especially when they're in that kind of situation. Like, you don't have to take everyone's advice. When I first started working out, everyone had something fucking to say about it. Everybody was like, you should do more yoga. You should run a marathon. Like, you should train for 5Ks. You should lift weights. Like, you should just do like Smith machine shit. You should just do kettlebell and dumbbell work. Like, you should do CrossFit. Like, you name anything. You should swim. It's easy on your joints. Like, all of that. And it's like, you don't have to take everyone's advice. The thing that I knew that worked for me when I started was being outside and quote unquote running. Because when I first started, I couldn't run, but I was like jog walking. That worked for me. I lost weight that way. So I kept doing it. Um, but what you like that day though, I remember wasn't the point. I didn't start working out for about a couple months after that because that it made it a team effort, but there was also a mourning process that had to occur in that.
Mm,
There was a mourning process of like, ah, fuck, I got myself here. Well, what am I doing now? I don't know how to get out of it. And I've always had this thing that I say, I'm like, the nice thing about hitting rock bottom is at least you're not falling anymore. So you can think clearly for once. You're just there. Like you're like, hey, this is the worst it's ever been. Just take a breath and think about it. Right. Like so the foundation, the seeds were laid then, but they didn't take for a couple more months. And the thing that actually happened was that I was in high school, and I hate that this is what it took, but I'm also fine with it. Uh, my friends started getting girlfriends, and people started dating, and like people were having like the high school experience, and I wasn't. And I had the thought, maybe people will like me more if I was skinny. Which, and I always try to remind people, and I always put a caveat on my story. The beginning of my story was very toxic. I didn't eat enough. I trained in the wrong way. I have a really fucked up left knee. And that years of running that I did were really bad on it because I wasn't doing like the proper work on the front and back end because I didn't know that that was a thing. But like, I wanted to get skinny specifically because I wanted people to like me. because when you're that heavy, even if you have friends, and I had a lot of friends, and I had a lot of friends that loved me, and I was surrounded by people that like would just be goofy and go do shit and hang out and like have fun. But you just feel so fucking isolated because it's very rare you have a few different people in one group that are all 400 pounds. So you just feel alone because you just stand out. Like you just feel like everyone's looking at you. And in the most part, most people aren't. Most people don't care. Most are just like, okay, whatever. Like you're just another human in the world. But I just wanted people to like me. Specifically, I just really wanted a girlfriend. I specifically just really wanted this girl that I liked to like me back. And um, you know, that didn't work because also through this journey, I all that shit just fell away. And I was like, damn, I feel fucking good. I'm cool. I was like, oh shit, dude, like you lost weight, like you're funny, you're smart, like you have a cool story, like look at this shit you did for yourself. By the time I like got to the point that I had lost 200 pounds, I didn't care anymore. I was just like, cool, you fucking did it, man. Good job. Like, and that had also changed my perspective to what next, right?
Mhm.
Now what? Um, but there always, and like I think that's such a lame reason, but it's still the reason that it
Mhm.
started. And I hate like if I go back and tell my 15-year-old self anything, it would be like, number one, I wish I go back to when you were like 10 and talk to you then. But if I could just go back to when I was 15, I'd be like, hey man, stop worrying about it. Here's what you should do. You'll be a lot happier if you just do this. Um, None of this shit matters. Like those people are not worth it, right? And like you need to change for you. You need to change so that you're still here for your mom and your sister. You need to change because your friends love you. And you need to change number one because you love you. And I want to see who you turn into. Um, and I also, because there's always this strange moment when people that are very overweight or obese, they lose a bunch of weight. There's this moment where there's like the tide goes out, right? And you're waiting for it to come back in, and there's usually a lull. And it's because people don't acknowledge that there's a mourning process of that. I've lost more weight than you weigh. I've lost more than you as a person. Anyone that thinks you don't emotionally mourn that is out of their minds. You go through the process of like you lost yourself as a person. And I always tell people that I hold that kid very high in my heart all the time because I am not that kid. I'm not the same person that kid was. And I don't do the things that that kid had wanted to do, like the things that he dreamed of doing. I do all of this now to try to make him proud and because I love it. But making him proud is number one. I wake up every day and want to honor the like that 15-year-old in me who had the balls to say, regardless of the reason, he still had the courage to get up and try to go on a run, not knowing what he was doing, and try to lose weight. And I genuinely have that thought a lot. I'm like, man, today fucking sucks. I left my sixth meal at home and I'm hungry. And I'm like, that kid didn't give a shit. That kid put on a hoodie in August and like fucking went and ran, and like people would call him fat from their cars as they drove by. And you're upset because you don't have your sixth meal, but you got to work out and you're healthy and you got to do jujitsu today, and like you took your walk that you love, and like you just have all these amazing people in your life. Like you have this incredible life, and you're upset because you're hungry. And then it's like, ah, well, that's true. Maybe I should just shut the fuck up about it. Which is how I talk to myself. I'm not saying everybody should talk to themselves that way, but that's how I talk to myself about it. But that you always have to like be on the lookout for that lull. And when it comes to like decision time, where somebody finally makes the choice, it has to be theirs.
100%. And you
In
have
it,
to, sorry, I didn't
good.
mean to cut you off. I was just going to say you have to realize that um in order to step into that journey, you do have to be willing to let go of the current identity that you've held for so long. And this is what I see so much in the fitness industry with people that I start working with is like their belief systems are so broken and false because what they tell themselves, they would never tell the person that they love the most. And that tells me that those belief systems aren't true. but that's their current identity and that's how they believe in themselves. So like I have to ask them, are you willing to give up this identity and the way you currently believe and step into a new version and a new identity with actually true beliefs about yourself? And that is scary for a lot of people because that's all they've known. It's
Yep.
uncomfortable. It's terrifying. It's stepping into the unknown. But doing the work myself and you doing the work yourself, 100%, I view it the same way of like, I want to be the version that 15-year-old wanted to be.
Yep.
I want to be the person that the 15-year-old looked up to. And with that, like you said, there's always different goals. Like what's next? And it's not necessarily saying that I'm unsatisfied or I'm discontent. It's okay, what can I do now? Like let's keep pushing the limits. Let's keep going. Let's see what my body and my mind can take. But it really does start with, are you willing to give up that identity and go through that mourning and grieving process, because you're losing a part of yourself to then create a new part of yourself, which is going to be better and so much more beneficial to your health and your mind and your body than ever before. But it's unknown right now. Are you willing to do that? And that's scary for a lot of people.
And there's nobody likes day ones,
No.
but there's a day one of a new belief system too. That shit might like slowly come up, but there's going to be the first day you realize that that's how you live based on that and that you've never noticed you do that before. What's that say about me? Even if it's good, even if it's good. One of the best pieces of advice I've ever gotten was from my older sister, Jordan. And she told me, she said, Chris, joy comes with a lot of pain. She's like, there can be so much happiness, but sometimes you got to cause yourself a lot of pain and hurt to get there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's true. And it's not like, malicious, but just like sometimes being happy means that like cutting off a relationship. It means getting away from people that don't serve you, even if it is what you know, even if like they are really good at parties, right? It doesn't serve you. It doesn't make you happy. It doesn't turn you into the best version of you that you want to be. Dude, I get why people don't lean into that stuff sooner because it's fucking scary, but it's always
Mm-hmm.
worth it. And like the thing I also usually tell people is I've gone through that process twice. Once when I lost 200 pounds, and then another time that we've touched on in one of our other calls. When I was 19, someone tried to kill me in my own home. He attacked me and my mom. He tried to kill me, and I ended up. I don't know if this is too brutal for the podcast. I beat him half to death. Like I ended up doing that. The only reason I was able to do that was because number one, where I grew up and how much I got bullied, and my mom being like, you should probably learn how to protect yourself and the people around you. And number two, like I had taken the time to lose weight and get healthy. So I was able to do it. But after that occurred, that event was so scarring and traumatic for me as a person, especially at 19, that that changes you too. That's the second one. Because now, not only do I have the 15-year-old in my head that I want to make proud, I also always think I want to be the kind of person that 19-year-old needed to be there. And then the kind of person that 19-year-old needed to be there after. Like I always want to be that for people. And I call it like it's a stable island, right? Hey, come out here. Like, make port, tie off your boat, just sit for a while. Like, you can be here. Like, people come to the gym just to relax sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm in town, I'm having a hard day, I just want to sit. And I'm like, cool, sit, hang out. I'm just working out. Do your thing, man. Pick music. I don't care what's playing. Like, we can talk about your day, what's going on. Like, it's just stable harbor for people sometimes. And I always think, it's like, that's what both those kids needed
Mm-hmm.
was just that stability, that voice of being like, hey, these are some things that we should do. These are some things that you should know. Now it's going to be hard, but let's go do them. You're not doing them by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but stepping into new belief systems and mourning who you are not things that most people are taught how to do.
Mm-mm.
And it's the same thing within the gym. I've had people apologize because they don't know what a deadlift is. And I'm like, have you ever deadlifted before? And they're like, no. And I'm like, then why would you know what a deadlift is?
Mm-hmm.
Why would I be upset that you can't do it? It's
Mm-hmm.
my job. If everyone just knew what this shit was, I wouldn't have a job.
Mm-hmm.
like I wouldn't have a job, man.
Well, it's the
It's
same thing. Like when you show up to your job the first day, right? There's always a day one. Like, okay, for example, when I worked at Starbucks many years ago,
Yeah.
Did I know how to make a latte? Did I know how to make a frappuccino? Did I know how to do X, Y, and Z? No. So why
Yep.
on earth would I apologize not knowing how to do it? And why did I keep showing up? Because I wanted to learn, because I wanted to get paid, because I wanted to earn something, because I wanted to have purpose. It's the same principles that you can apply in the gym. Like there's so many people that don't go into a gym because they don't know how to do anything. And then I always say, listen, this is why you ask for help. This is why YouTube is a fantastic thing. This is why there's diagrams on certain machines to show you how to do it. And then that's also why you have a community and a coach. And like there's always going to be that time where I still don't know how to do everything in the gym. Are you kidding
Of
me?
course not.
No. Like I'm still learning. And and it just comes to the point where how important is this to you? How bad do you want it? How bad do you want to learn? And how bad do you want to grow? And then I
Yeah.
tell people, if that's not where you're at right now, I'm not going to judge that. And I'll be here when you're ready.
Yeah. Everybody comes at it from their own angles and everybody comes at it in their own time.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And the thing I always tell people is I'm like, remember, you're not bad at this. You're just untrained.
Mm-hmm.
Been taught. You just don't know how to do it. You haven't had enough practice. But that's literally what we're here for. This
Yep.
is just I remind people all the time, you're training. This isn't a test. Like, this isn't a test. I'm not scoring you on this. I'm not giving you a grade. We're just here moving and working,
Yep.
right? Like, every day's not your best day, physically, emotionally, whatever it is. Like, it all goes back and forth in that way. That like you just don't know how to do it yet, but you're here to learn how to do it. Like that's the first thing we tell, like that a lot of people tell folks about jujitsu. When you get into jujitsu, it's fucking terrifying and overwhelming because you're like, I don't know what to do. And it's like, yeah, you learned a couple things today. And then tomorrow, if you come, you'll learn a couple more things. And then you'll learn a couple more things. And then you'll learn how to put those things together. And then you'll start developing your own style. And then you'll understand the concepts that exist around it. So you'll start playing around with things. And in a couple years, you'll be like, oh shit, I know how to do this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the best at it. There's always something to learn, but I know how to do this now. Like, cool. Right. It's like anything physical, anything emotional. There's always a learning process that people are intimidated by. And I totally understand why they are. It's fucking scary.
Mm-hmm.
Like any of these processes are fucking scary and they feel overwhelming. That's why I think something like a coach, a community, a group of people, friends, they're wonderful resources for being able to actually achieve a goal, right? Like I had a bunch of friends who would see me start to squander the desire to work out or like the urge or the motivation, whatever it is, whatever word social media is using today. Um, and they would be like, I'll go to the gym with you. Let's go on a walk. Let's go run. I like to run. Let's go run. Like it'd be like 2 a.m. and they'd be like, let's go on a run. And we go on a run. And then I feel better. And they're like, hey, you worked out today. Good job.
Well, and
Like, yeah,
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off again. Here's the thing with the community and finding a coach. One, you need to find a coach that you align with how they do things, you enjoy their personality, and you vibe on like an energy slash emotional level, right? Like I'm not gonna be the coach for everybody, and that's okay. I'm okay with that. 100%. Go find the coach that you are okay with. But on that same note, like who you surround yourself with, they need to be like-minded individuals who are doing this journey with you. Because if you try and do this in a community where they're not doing the same things, you're not going to grow. You're not going to step into the version of yourself that you want to be. And the perfect example I have of this is when I first moved from Colorado to Missouri. I live in a town called St. Peter's. It's right outside the city of St. Louis. And there's four CrossFit gyms within 15 minutes of my house. And I tried every single one of them. And I was the fittest person in the room. I was the strongest person in the room, and I was the most athletic. I didn't go back because I don't want to be in a community where I'm the fittest or the strongest or the most athletic because I'm not going to grow and I want to grow. So do I drive 30 minutes out of my way to a gym where there's more athletic people there than me and stronger people? Yes, I do. And have I grown exponentially because of that? 100%. And that's the same thing with an online community or an in-person community. I think you need both. Like, I'm not going to be that coach that says, just join my community and only be in my online community, because I do run an online community, I'm going to tell people you need to have a community outside of this too, because we're wired for connection, like personal connection in person, like being with people. And especially over the last 3 years, everything went online, everything went on Zoom, everything was not in person anymore. And I think that contributes to a lot of why people are so miserable, to be quite honest.
No, I think it does. I think people are kind of starved for human interaction for the most part. And I think that's one of the reasons that like gyms are so powerful. And why a
Yep.
lot of times if you can get people in there, and that's one of the reasons I always tell people we run a very relaxed ship at the gym that I work at. I'm just glad you're there. I want you to have fun. I know that I know what I'm doing. I know if you follow the programming, you're gonna get stronger, you're gonna get fitter, you're gonna be healthier. I know that. If you're just doing the work, cool, right? But this, I also always tell people, this is your workout. This is your time. I'm responsible, but I'm not in charge. Like I'm here, like I'm responsible making sure that you guys are safe and that you're getting what you need out of this. I'm not in charge of you while you're here. Um, if you want to change something, if you want to move the days around, like, hey, we're squatting today, but you want to bench press and then you'll squat like tomorrow. Cool. I don't care because you're still going to squat this week as long as you choose to. And if you don't want to squat, and I know a ton of people that hate this kind of shit, but like if you don't want to squat this week, you don't squat this week. I just want you in the gym doing something because that's the difference between doing something like training Gen Pop and training like an athlete. So I tell the athletes I train, I'm like, it does not matter if you want to do this. When you go to a competition and you are weaker than everyone else, do not come to me and complain about it because
A
you
hundred
had the
percent.
answer in front of you. You
Yep.
had the answer in front of you. You chose not to do it. I don't hate you for it. That's fine. You made a decision though, and I'm not going to placate that decision, that disappointment. But the general population, it's like, dude, just go move around. Like, just go do something. You
A
came
hundred
into the
percent.
gym, you're here doing something cool. But
Great.
like that community piece is what's important. Is that even if it's a loose ship, and even if we have people in there doing their own programming or doing programming I write on the side, or doing the class workout, or just coming in and stretching and doing some yoga, or dragging a sled, or like hanging out, you're still part of the group. And I want people to feel that like you're part of the group. You're here. I care about you being here. We all care about you being here. And that motivates people to come back. And the number one comment that I get about why people like our gym so much is because it's relaxed. And that's also a mirror of how I coach. Now I can motivate and like kick your ass with the best of them, but my motivation is a lot quieter. Like it's a lot quieter. It's a lot more sorry, my battery's gonna die, but I have time. The It's a lot quieter. It's a lot more of, hey, I'm proud of you. Hey, how do you feel? Hey, what do you want out of your workout today? And then it's always like, hey, just put 5 more pounds on. Like, just like if you're comfortable, put 5 more pounds on.
Hmm.
And then eventually doing that, people go from deadlifting the barbell to deadlifting, like double their body weight.
Yep.
And they're like, oh shit. And I'm like, yeah, I didn't have to scream at you because it doesn't work for you. And then some people in the gym, they like it when you talk a little shit.
I'm one of those people. Yeah,
Yeah,
100%. If
yeah.
you call me a little bitch and don't be a weak ass bitch, I'm gonna put more weight on that bar. That helps me. 100%. But
And
then if
I
you
have
in the same breath you're like, "Hey, I'm really proud of you," then that also works.
no, and that's the way I always go. And I tell people all the time, I am the least athletic and probably the least competitive person you can ever meet, except for playing ping pong. I don't know what it is about ping pong. I will fuck up ping pong.
Really? Ping pong. Out of all that, I would have never took you for a ping pong person.
Mind about ping pong. Um, my proudest achievement this summer was kicking my mom's ass at a ping pong tournament because I'd never beat her at ping pong before.
That's
And
fantastic.
I talked so much shit for the rest of the trip. And she was like, you need to get the fuck away from me. Like you need to fucking go somewhere. Um, but I'm not one of those people that responds to things like shit talk. I'm just like, whatever. Okay. Yeah, you probably are stronger than me. I don't know. I still just bench press 315 for 5. I'm cool with that. But like I do a lot better with like, hey man, like you can probably do more. Like you seem strong today. Like you should do a little more. And like I don't know, like I don't respond to the shit talk thing the same way, but if everyone did, we'd all just be screaming at each other anyway. So like, yeah, ping pong's the one thing I get like fucking like into. Even like jujitsu. Like people beat me at jujitsu and I'm like, man, that was really good. And sometimes people are like, that is such a strange response. And I'm like, I don't, whatever, man. Like we're not actually fighting. Like it's okay. Or I'd be like, man, that was really slick. Like you did really good. Like it's just one of those things, man. Like I'm a lot more just like, hey, we're all here doing something, and I love the fuck out of it, and I love the opportunity like to get to be a part of it. And I tell people all the time, coaching's the most humbling thing I've ever done. Because even this far into it, I still look around and I'm like, holy shit, all of you guys trust me with this.
Yeah,
And I think
it's yeah,
and I think the coaches that lose sight of that are the ones that get complacent,
I agree,
that
100%.
trust you and that you're taking them on this journey and that sorry, they're a person. You're gonna have to listen to their story at some point.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and that's a perfect segue with the time that we have left into I think this is a perfect time and opportunity to announce that you're going to be joining us and me and Nikita as a coach for the real life coaching group. And I'm super excited for that because like you and I've spoke about you coach in person and you've done a little bit online, but you kind of want to get more into the online thing and just do both. You just want to help people. And because of your story, because of the person that you are, because of how relatable you are and how safe and comfortable you make people feel and the values that you have. Like literally when I asked you what your core values were a couple weeks ago and you just listed them off so confidently, that has never happened to anybody I've asked ever before. And that to me speaks volumes of you as a person. So for everyone listening, Christopher here is going to be a coach really, really soon in about a month. And so if his story has resonated with you, if you would love to learn and be coached by him, please like take the opportunity, follow him on social media, send him a DM, start that conversation, or if you can message me. But I'm really excited to have you a part of the team and be able to work alongside you to just help people.
I'm fucking amped on it, honestly. I'm so excited. Like it's so cool. Like I don't know, man. Like that's the shit I care about. Like I say it all the time, like that's the good shit. Like when something like really good at like that's the good shit. Helping people as a coach, for me, that's the good shit. Teaching people, that's the point, right? You're gonna hit PRs, you're gonna hit PRs, you're gonna get better, you're gonna lose weight, you're gonna gain muscle, whatever it is, whatever your goal is, it's going to happen. But if I can show you that you're not doing this by yourself and that someone, and I tell people all the time, like, if no one's told you lately, I am proud of you. If you're fucking listening to this and no one's told you that they're proud of you for your fitness process lately, I'm fucking proud of you. I don't care if I know you or not. I'm proud of everybody that gets up and tries because that's all it takes. And that's the one thing the fitness world doesn't tell people. You just have to try. And eventually, you'll figure it the fuck out. It'll
Yep.
fall into place. You'll find a process that works for you. You just have to try.
Yep.
Like, I love to lift weights. I used to run 11 miles a day. I don't do that shit anymore. That was way back in the day. I love to lift weights. I love to go on walks and I love to do jujitsu. So that's what I do. And maybe that'll change one day. But right now, I tried and this is where I found myself. So you just have to keep trying. Like, that's it.
I love it. I really appreciate you taking the time today to tell your story and us have a conversation. And I think it can bring some real clarity and impact to people. So I really appreciate you doing this with me today.
No, I appreciate the shit out of you having me on. I love it. I love this stuff.
Yeah, me too. All right. Well, if you're listening, this is going to conclude our episode and we'll see you next time.